Well, hello neighbors. I'm John, your whiskey neighbor. Today for a quick review, I'd like to look at Tomatin, a special release, Bòcan, I think it's called. Talk to you after the break. Well, thanks for staying. As I said, I want to look at Tomatin's Bòcan. It's, I don't know if it's a special release. I think it came out as a special release and now it's part of their regular line. Tomatin is a Highland distillery. I believe it's just south of Inverness. And typically they released Highland Scotch, which would be unpeated, and they have a various age range. And I think their single malt is quite affordable. I know their 12-year-old is the most affordable in the area for regular price, and I have some thoughts on that. But before I get into it, I just want to say for regular viewers, sorry I haven't been on more often. I'm going through a job change, and it's a tough time of year, so a little less regular. And actually, the last one I shot failed miserably. It was trying to do 4 bourbons at once. I'm going to come back to that when I have a little more time. Coming back to this Scotch. So, although this is from Tomatin, Highland Distillery, this one is lightly peated, or lightly smoked and peated, I would say. And I think the name, and I didn't do enough history searching for this, but I think the Bòcan, the wolf head, it's kind of a neat. The bottle, if you get a full bottle, it's in a nice black box and kind of a ghostly wolf or hellhound that haunts the area. And I think it's pretty common across a lot of Northern European, that myth. But I don't know much about it, so I shouldn't talk about it. But Tomatin has released most of their stuff for bigger blend companies, but has been putting out single malts for quite some time. This one is non-age stamped. This Bòcan, non-age stamped, lightly peated, which is different than normal. But it does say, non-chill filtered, and it's released at 46%. So that's nice. I like a little bit more higher ABV to sort of carry and bring the flavors. And non-chill filtered as well, I think, allows certainly some of that mouthfeel and whatnot to come off. But let's see how it goes. So I poured a little bit here. This was a nice Christmas gift, so I knew I had to get at it before it lost its zest. It's a small bottle. I find the smoke quite gentle in this. In fact, if you haven't had a peated smoky Scotch, but you'd like to see, well, what might that be like? This could be a good bottle in that it's not overly peated or heavily smoked. In fact, the first thing that comes to me is more of a kind of a cereal sweetness, bit of a floral note maybe, honey sweetness, and then it's just sort of wrapped up in a very gentle note. It's hard even to say smoky. For me, it almost smells peaty, even though, like, right on the bottle they mention lightly smoked. Okay, but I find a little more peat aroma than smokiness, but something that tells me it's a little different than a standard Highland Scotch. I think if I dig around in here, mixed with the fruit, I would also get a little bit of citrus. But a pleasant nose. Certainly nice for 46. It's certainly approachable. Give it a taste. In the palate up front, I'm getting more of that cereal, more almost a ginger, like a few spices, but not peppery, those kind of spices, but more something alive. Again, fruit, but here maybe pineapple. That seems too strong, but just kind of a mixed fruit taste. I find, I don't know how you guys are when you're drinking whiskey, but the finish here now gets at a little more peat and a little more smoke. But I actually find this finish almost interplays right back with the palate. Could be the day. It's been a long day, and I just came back and thought, oh, I should update the channel a little bit, share some thoughts. But I think it's in the finish for me that I get more peat and smoke. Again, I'm talking about it, but if you pour this for me blind, I think I would pick out, oh, there's something here, or there's a bit of that, maybe that ginger, or that there's a spiciness and a vegetable note, like a grassy note, and I might not even pick it out as peat, and I certainly wouldn't go to smoke or to ash at all in this dram. So I'm talking about it because I think this expression, that's what separates it from like a Tomatin 12 kind of thing, or 15, 12 actually would be much more accurate. So that's what I'm talking about. But it would be a great disservice for you if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna go get that nice hellhound smoky Tomatin thing. It's super gentle. In fact, I need to stop saying anything about the peat and the smoke. It is more the cereal, a little bit of grassy notes, some sweetness from honey. There's hints of peat, but it holds together well. If you're a long-time viewer, you may recall that I have an unusual relationship with Tomatin. By that I mean they're 18, I like quite a bit, and it's still very affordable. It's a very nice Scotch. They're 12, is crazy affordable where I am. I really don't like it. So, and there's something in there, there's a sourness, a sourness that puts me off. And I can catch a hint of that in this Bòcan. In fact, it's that hint of sour, something like a fruit that's not ripe, or something even in here that puts me off from really enjoying this, because otherwise I like this, even though it's a non-age stamp. So we have to expect this to be pretty young. And especially when they put a little peat in, a lot of people will release a younger whiskey because, you know, peat tends to give you lots of flavor in the profile. And so I think, not that it covers, but it gives depth to the Scotch, maybe before it would pick up depth from good casking or just oxidizing and aging. I can't say there's a lot of wood in here. Another note that tells me it's young, or it's in well-used ex-bourbon. I should have looked up to see if there is sherry cast in here. It's got to be a small percentage or a small amount of time or something, because the fruits that I'm getting at, to me, come, I think, from the peated barley and that interplay. And even the fruits aren't reds or darks or those kinds of things, which I would want to get, or drying tannins. So I'm going to go that this is ex-bourbon. I'm going to go that it's young. And yet I find this okay. I don't mind this Scotch. It was a nice gift. It's a nice bottle size. I wish I could buy all my Scotches in this size so I could try more. But at any rate, aside from that slight sourness, I even get it in the nose. And a little bit of that youth in the palate. I like this Scotch. If you're new, I rate things on a scale of 5, but they don't directly relate even to a 10-point scale, and certainly not a 90-point scale. For me, a 3-point, you're in the 80s, right? And for a 4-point, I know this makes no sense, but if you're in a 4-star rating, then you're pushing into 90 almost, and then 4.5, you're lower 90s, and 5, I can't rate you, you're so awesome. This really is only about a 3.5. If I looked at my point scale, I'd really have to check my notes, and I didn't. I just wanted to quickly shoot this quickly. I'm going to put this mid-80s, probably 85, somewhere in there, 86. So 3.5 stars. I'm comfortable with that rating. If you don't like Tomatin line, if you've tried the 12 and the 15, I wouldn't recommend it because this does taste like it's in the family. Also, if you want a smoother experience, I wouldn't recommend this either. By that, I mean a little bit more coating in the mouth and a little bit more layered but subtle flavors. This is still youthful, but for me, I like that. I like a little bit of the peat, sorry. I like the spectrum from sweetness and cereal notes into the grassy and gingery and a little bit of spice notes. So anyways, that's my thoughts on Tomatin Bòcan. Give it a try. It's usually quite affordable, and it's nice that it's not chill filtered and bottled at a little bit higher percent. Thanks for joining me. I have no idea when I'll get to release another video. But subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I appreciate you guys dropping in. Take care. Cheers.